I'm muted. Yes, good. I'm back again. I can see that we now have people from both Facebook and the YouTube. Both platforms are on now. Had some issues this morning. I don't know what is it. On the last occasion, we had a similar issue where everything was scheduled, and then just as I was to go live, they're saying that it wasn't connected. But I was looking and I was seeing that it was connected. And then what happened? I attempted to come out of the studio and get back in. Then what happened then is that the people on YouTube weren't getting the broadcast. So I decided that, look, let me end that stream. And apparently I ended the stream that had the people on Facebook as well. So I had to then disconnect that stream altogether and just created a new stream. So thanks to all the calls, thanks to all the comments that I have been having. And I think now I have to call my colleague CC because he too was struck out and he too will have to sign back in. So allow me a minute to call him. Allow me a minute to call him and let him sign back in. Right, he's attempting to log back in, so we gotta go. Let me say today, today, the gremlins are gonna be at work, but we are not gonna allow anything to prevent us from coming here and bringing you credible, valuable information. Today, Monday, the 6th day of April in the year of our Lord 2026. Another great day that the Lord has made. Let's rejoice and be glad in it. Let's give praise and thanks for being in the land of the living. It is a privilege to be in the land of the living. And we should never, ever take that for granted. As we have said repeatedly, no matter what difficulties we have, we are going to endeavor to make sure that we can come and we can bring you the credible, valuable information. So today is no exception. I said, despite the challenges, we are on live on Facebook and on YouTube. My colleague is attempting to get back into the studio, and we are going to be with you because we have, as usual, we have a lot to tell you. We have a lot to tell you. We're not going to allow a little bit of technical difficulties to prevent us from coming here. We're going to, we're going to overcome whatever difficulties are presented. As I said, I noted on the platform last Thursday rather, when we had a program on Thursday, we had some difficulties and it took me some time to figure out why it is. Because when the live stream was scheduled, I noted 2 different schedules were up. And then when I attempted to go live, none of them was connecting. So there was some issue. But this morning when I scheduled, I noted there was only one stream scheduled. So I felt that everything was okay. But when I attempted to go live at 11 o'clock, only to discover that they were saying that I wasn't connected. None of the streams was connected. So I fiddled and I fiddled and I titivate, as they say, I remember the word. I titivate and then eventually I had to get right out, close that stream with the advice of some of the students. Thank you very much. And then created a new stream and we are on now. We are on now. So share, share, share. The numbers are down expectedly because many people would have been caught. Let them know that we're on. Today is Monday, the 6th day. Today is Easter Monday, one of the biggest holidays in Guyana, kite flying day. And I hope we have good weather so we can go and we can picnic, we can fly with kite, and we can enjoy a good Easter Monday. And let me say this to some, happy Easter Monday. It's not Easter. Easter Monday. Yesterday, Sunday was Easter. Today is Easter Monday, right? So I must advise the Commissioner of Police because I know every occasion, whether it's Women's Day, whether the plaster is picture wrong with greetings and so on. But I saw this morning, they plastered it again and they're saying to us, Happy Easter. Well, yesterday was Easter, Commissioner. Today is Easter Monday, the day after Easter. So please get it right. There's nothing I can't get right. and y'all call yourselves Christians. But Lovingdale say one day Christian. Y'all know that Sunday is is Easter. Sunday is Easter. If you even check on your calendar, you will see that Sunday is Easter. And as I indicated on Thursday when we last met, in Ghana it's a big public holiday. I guess other countries as well. But in the US and other places, Monday is not, today is not a public holiday. Yesterday was Easter Sunday, and today is Easter Monday. So let me understand this thing clearly, right? I know, as I've said, you can't proclaim to be a Christian and then know that Sunday is Easter and Monday is Easter Monday. You can't proclaim to be a Christian unless, as Lovingdale said, you are a one-day Christian. You are a one-day Christian. You go to church on Sunday, and then I got to play the song. I have to try to find it and play it for y'all. For say, I tell them I discovered that to my children in 1998. 1998, I attended the FBI Academy. And when you look at the schedule, many of us planned big weekend in New York. The FBI Academy is in Quantico, Virginia. We plan to travel down when class finished Thursday afternoon, because Good Friday was the holiday. So we're going to get a long weekend. Rude awakening when the schedule came out for the week they supposed it. Monday classes. Some of us still came to New York and then went back Sunday in order to get to class on Monday. So let me understand, right? So somebody's telling me some Commonwealth countries, including Canada, they have Easter Monday. Well, yeah, Easter Monday, which is a holiday. That is understood. Easter Monday. Even the places that don't celebrate it, they recognize that Monday is Easter Monday. But Easter is the Sunday. You read, the Christian brothers will tell you the crucifixion was on the Friday. And the Bible says that the Christ our Lord rose 3 days after, and they said that is the Sunday he rose. Right? So let me understand that. So yeah. So folks, share and let them know that we're on. I see Mr. Conway is in the studio now. So let me move with the announcements. We're going to move with the program now, because I guess by now people have been told. I see we up to just about 700 on the live, which means that the word has gotten around, and people are going to be joining us both on YouTube and on Facebook. As you would suspect, we would not be able to do any roll call this morning, but I recall when it was scheduled, the first person in was Janella Price. I remember that, and others were in very early. There were lots and lots of people who came in the first minute. Janella, the Sauls, Rodney, Patrick Rodney, and many others. I can't remember all the names, but I can tell you many persons came in between the first minute of the gates being open. So, so we got to go straight to the announcements. Let me say, we get a Compton, Sergeant Vaughan, the late Sergeant Vaughan. Today is 755 days since Sergeant Vaughan was killed. That is 2 years and 26 days since he was killed. Police Sergeant Vaughan killed. They told us initially, the only time they spoke, I shouldn't say initially. Well, yeah, initially might be correct. They told us that it was friendly fire. Someone of his colleagues shot him by accident, right? Fatally shot him by accident. When the postmortem was done, they said the postmortem revealed he had 3 bullet wounds. And I said that based on my experience with firearms, as a firearm instructor, as a national marksman and all of that, the only way he could have sustained 3 gunshot injuries is if the firearm was an automatic firearm. If it was a pistol or a semi-automatic or a revolver, can be accident. Because I've said with the semi-automatic, in order for a round to fire, every time you want a round to fire, you have to press and release the trigger. That is semi-automatic. Something similar, whether it's a pistol, whether it's a rifle, revolver, you have to press and release every time. But I said with an automatic rifle, you can have one press and then there's a burst. So 2 or more rounds can fire, right? So if it is that he had 3 bullet wounds, then it must have been an automatic weapon. For it to be an accident, it must have been an automatic firearm. And we ain't hear nothing. I have never seen anything where they say what firearm it was. So 755 days since the sergeant was killed. And I noted a few programs back, somebody came on, they said that he is a son of Sergeant Van. Again, condolences to the family, yeah? Condolences to the family. Sergeant Alex Van. Right? We will never forget. Yeah, Rhonda, we will never forget Alex. Because Rhonda is here saying we will never forget. Van and Rhonda and others worked with me when I was at West Demerara. I went there as a commander in 1993. They were all ranks under my command. Yeah? Let me move on to say we told you about the death of former member Winston Mitchell. I got some information on him, so I'll just let you know quickly. The man had a long name. Them old people used to give some long name. Winston Asquith Neville Alexander Mitchell. His regulation number was 6537, right? And he died on the 20th of March. The funeral service will be in Virginia on the 16th, April 16th, and he will be buried sometime to be announced in Guyana. So we have some time, I'll give you more details about the parlor for the service and all of that. So we'll tell you about that later. We also learned over the weekend of the death of former CARICOM Secretary General Roderick Rainford. Mr. Roderick Rainford died a few days ago. I think it was in Jamaica. And then we also, condolences to the relatives and friends, colleagues of those persons. But we also had the death, another road accident, another fatal road accident. You know, almost every program, we do programs 3 times a week, as you all know. Almost every program, or at least every week we come on this program, we have to announce other people have died on the road. And what is the focus? The focus is tint. Tint is the focus. And I'll say something a little later about the tint. Right? So we had the report involving Damon Barlow. And I will tell you something more about that individual, because you might recall in September of 2024, this guy, Joshua David, called Brick, was abducted in Main Street outside New Thriving Restaurant, and he has not been seen since. And this same person who died Saturday there, Damon Barlow, was one of the suspects in that abduction, and they went to court, were put the place on bail. I will tell you more about that a little later, but that's another fatal accident. And then we have this tragic incident on the quarantine, where a woman, I'll tell you some more details about that too, killed her 7-year-old, not killed, murdered, let me use the right word, murdered her 7-year-old daughter, attempted to murder her, I think 1 month, 1 year, 9-month-old son, and then attempted suicide. Can you imagine that? And I'm going to go into it in a little more detail. We're going to go into it because, I mean, the sentiments are there about needing psychiatric treatment and all that, but we're gonna talk about it a little bit more. So we have that, and very depressing, very depressing on this Easter weekend. Fatal accident, woman killing her daughter and her 7-year-old daughter and all that. So we're gonna talk some more about that. But let me go to some more pleasant announcements. We have the birth anniversary today of Denise Galloway. Denise, she thinks she retired as an inspector. Denise Galloway used to be a traffic when I went to traffic headquarters, I can't remember the exact year. In the 90s, Denise was there as one of the staff in the office. I think our number was 11341, if my memory serves me correct. Denise is celebrating a birth anniversary today. Also celebrating a birth anniversary today is Cassie. Castillo, I can never ever remember her first name. Cassie used to be at the quartermaster stores. She used to be on the East Coast, and sometimes she retired. She's a retired member. I think she retired at the rank of sergeant. She too celebrating a birth anniversary today. And recent birthdays or recent birth anniversaries. Retired, I think he was assistant superintendent. Bernard Banwari. Banwari, we used to tease him. Banwari said to bear your chafe. But as Sir Langevine would say, he never said how long. Banwari said to bear your chafe. He never said how long. Banwari had a birthday recently. Jennifer Pereira, former member of parliament, had one too. Orrin Newton was yesterday. Orrin is a man, I think, from Linden, a follower and a student. Orrin had a birthday recently. And then I discovered this morning, right? I discovered this morning that on the 4th of this month, which would have been 2 days ago, the sage, Brother Eusi Kwayana, Sydney King, celebrated his 101st birthday 2 days ago. I have a tribute that was written last year when he celebrated his 100th birthday. I think it's appropriate for me to read it, for the younger ones in particular to understand what a legend he is. Brother Eusi Kwayana celebrated his 101st birthday. And he still writes in articles, in letters and so on in the paper. Brilliant man. So congratulations to all those who are celebrating today, who celebrated recently, and who are going to be celebrating in the near future. And those who are celebrating in the near future includes a squad mate of mine, former member Winston Bagot Welch. He goes as Welch now, 94-91. Bagot 94-91. Yeah, Bagot, I got to tease Bagot, man, because as recruits, we were identified to be boxers. Courtney Lane, Patrick and those guys will remember Courtney Lane. Courtney Lane was in the Boxing Association. He came, he identified you by size. Said, well, you got to be this weight. You got to be that weight. At that stage, I was weighing 175 pounds, right? Tall and things. So he said, you got to be. So I entered. 175 was the minimum weight for heavyweight. So I entered. And Bagada, the same size as me. And the first fight I had as an amateur boxer was with Bagat, 94-91 Bagat. And I prevailed over him. And we used to tease him all the time. I prevailed over him in the first fight that we had. So again, congratulations to all those persons. And let me again, before I go off, before I bring in CC, let me say this, I have discovered over the weeks and months and even years that we have followers from all over the world I'm talking about. And recently people from Australia, Nigeria, a man from Iran and Iraq, and plus we have the people in the Caribbean, we have Paris, we have all of the people in the Caribbean and Europe who are followers. So this program is reaching many people all around. Only last week, somebody from Australia reached out, and also from Nigeria, a Guyanese man working in Nigeria, living and working in Nigeria, they reached out. So I want to thank you all for your attendance to class and for your contributions by just being on the program and sharing and making the program more popular. I think that was important for me to acknowledge those persons. IPL, Indian Premier League, going on now, rain, interrupting this particular match. But what an innings yesterday from what's his name again? The man hit the ball like everything without a style. People said some of the sixes he hit was perhaps, one of them in particular, was the biggest six they ever saw. The biggest six yesterday they ever saw. So yes, cricket is in the air. Tim David, yes. Tim David. Man, it's a monstrous six. The penalty made over the man struck for 30 runs. He started off with a 6, then a 2, then a 4, then a 6, and a 6. 30 runs in the penalty made over, and RCB ended up with 250. Well, who follow in cricket, no matter how optimistic you are, you know that 250 to chase and easy. And so it proved, because they ended up with the challenge ended up with 207 or something like that. So yeah. Let me bring in CC. And CC, Gremlins at work today, but here we are again. This is another day that the Lord has made. to bring students credible and valuable information. Welcome, my brother.
Good
Good
morning.
morning.
Happy to be in
Happy
the
to.
land of the living to do God's work. And they cannot delay us. They can't stop us. Whether they use Pegasus and all kind of thing, they can't stop us. My sympathy to the members of the Berry family, and also happy birthday to those who celebrated and who would celebrate later. But Paul, you mentioned about boxing, but you skillfully omitted a fight that you had, where you say you accuse the referee that the referee can't count because you only hear from 7, 8, 9,
Nine
and
and
10.
10. That was a. I think that might have been the last fight I fought. That was a national novice championship. I am not. I'm not ashamed to talk about the national novice championship. As a young police, I was fighting Richard Nixon, called Poned. The older men might remember he was a notorious man in the place. Big strapping red man. He was a member of the Republican gym. Now the Republican gym was a gym for prisoners. People in the prison, they were part of that Republican gym. And the man who took me up, because people believe that you should not have fought him. Big man towering over me. But I was brave, perhaps foolish too. And none of the police coaches wanted to take me up. Some Morris Busy Boyce, that legendary boxing coach, he's the man who came and took me up. He was the second man in my corner. And he telling me, he said, Slowy, I see you. You're fast on your feet. So what you got to do is just jab and move. Jab and move. And you are likely to prevail. Don't get things. So I say, all right. I can float like a butterfly. I can sting like a bee. So when the fight start, if you see how the boy floating, jabbing and running and jabbing and running. And then I think it might have been into the all in the second round. My confidence build. I get ambitious because in those days they taught you to drop cross, and the third punch used to be a left hook. But throwing a left hook is a dangerous thing, not only to your opponent but to you as well, because when you threw the left hook, you would leave your jaw open. So they taught us. Trotman Daly from Cuba, he was there in Guyana coaching boxers. I was not part of the group because he was coaching national boxers, but they trained at the police gym, and therefore I had the opportunity to participate in that thing. Trotman Daly used to say jab left, jab right, cross, and then when you perfect that, left hook. So if me now decide I can try a thing, Poned, jab, cross, left hook. I know that the left hook landed. I know that the left hook that I threw landed. Leslie Allen was the referee. I remember these things like it was yesterday. Leslie Allen was the referee. I hear Leslie Allen when I said 5, 6, 7. So I said, this man can't count. And we started from 5. When he reached to 8, he asked me if you continue. I said, nah, I'm done. I only hear the man counting from 5, 6, 7, 8. The mandatory 8 count. Then he asked if I continue. I said, nah, I'm done. I ain't continuing. And it was a final. It was in a final, so I got runner-up novice championship. I think in them days, I had won 1 or 2 fights leading up to the finals because there weren't many people fighting at that weight. So yeah, Mr. Conway, I think that might have been my last competitive fight. It might have been my last competitive fight because what happened? Let me tell you all this too. Because in the force, when you're in the boxing sport, once you get promoted, once you turn a SO, and you say you're going to be a boxer, oh God, everybody want to beat you up in the ring. When you're training, all them boys want to fight with you. So I got corporal in 1976, October, and I said, nah, I ain't going to share the same fate. Because I saw others who were subordinate officers, people going in the ring more than them, them corporal and them sergeant with cuffs. So I said, nah, I done. And I stopped boxing after that. So, Cece, just to say to you, yes, that is my boxing experience. I think I took part for like about 2 years, 74 to 76, and that was it. But let me move on. There's a lighter side and thing of it. So, as I indicated earlier, let me start first with this, with Brother Eusi Kwayana's 101st birth anniversary, which was on the 4th, right? It's a little lengthy read, but I believe it is important that we understand these things. Because I remember not so long ago, one of those jagabats came out to say that black people can get role model and all that. Y'all remember that? Yeah, remember that? A Jagabat said that black people can get role model. But let me read something. This is something that was written last year. It is in my research. I found it in Stabrook News, because despite the fact that Stabrook News has stopped publicizing now, you still have online, and the archives are there that you can go and you can do your research. And this is something that was written by Moses Bagwan and Nigel Westmas. And this, as I said, was written last year. And it started out by saying, last Friday, April 4th, Eusi Kwayana crossed 100 years. Born Sidney King in Lusignan in 1925, his birth year coincided with several significant global events. Sun Yat-sen, the Chinese nationalist leader, founder of modern China, and head of the Kuomintang, passed away. In the United States, the Scopes trial famously unfolded in Dayton, Tennessee, over the teaching of evolution in schools, reflecting broader tension between science and religion. Television technology was first publicly demonstrated, ushering a new era of communication. 1925 was the year that Marcus Garvey was imprisoned in the U.S. It was the birth year of Malcolm X, who would become a prominent civil rights leader and who was tragically assassinated in 1965. In then British Guyana, Hubert Nathaniel Critchlow had already established the British Guyana Labour Union, BGLU, in 1919, which by 1925 was forcefully advocating for workers' rights. Against this backdrop, Kwayana emerged as a remarkable figure whose practice transcended boundaries as a cultural activist, poet, playwright, teacher, politician, journalist, and author and griot. One of Eusi Kwayana's earliest political self-conscious memories dates back to Lusignan around 1929, when he was about 4 or 5 years old. He vividly recalled a woman, perhaps aged between 60 and 65, sitting in the doorway on a bench in a range yard, enjoying the warmth of the sun with her legs crossed and smoking a clay pipe. Addressing him directly, she said, quote, "Picnic, Conga I nation, Conga I nation," end of quote. Her words clearly affirming African pride and heritage, emphasizing that the horrors of slavery could never erase the fact that Africans originated from great and dignified civilizations. Kwayana never forgot it. Kwayana and the poet Martin Carter often rode their bicycles to and from Georgetown. On one such occasion, Carter stopped at Larry Souvenir, a site associated with the 1823 Demerara Revolt, and in a gesture echoed in a little, let me read that, and in a gesture echoed in the title of one of his later poems, physically listened to the land. The Guyanese writer Jan Carew once said he remembered Kwayana as a tall, ascetic, speaking so softly, you ought to lean forward to hear what he was saying. Looked like a black Jesus and carried the aura of gentleness around with him. But you sense that there was implacable resolution at the core of that gentleness. Kwayana was indeed a self-disciplined, austere figure. His diet consists of raw food, and he recalls Victory in Europe Day, VE Day, in 1945, when after imbibing, he subsequently became ill. He resolved never to drink again, declaring rum unfit for human consumption. Then it goes on. In 1950, Kwayana regularly tuned in to Radio Moscow on his Berwick radio. Yeah, remember that Berwick radio, balancing his broadcasts against those of the BBC and Voice of America. He brought this Matchbox car. He bought his first Matchbox car. The brakes and radiator didn't work very well. From the artist Aubrey Williams in 1952 for $250. He got a Morris Oxford after he became minister in 1953. Given its generous nature, both cars were used for carrying people back and forth from Buxton like a free taxi. Kwayana was an associate member of the Indian National Congress, INC, of British Guyana. The INC comprised prominent individuals such as Pandit Sama Prasad and Fred Rupchand, the latter being a Roman Catholic and gold miner. The organization primarily operated along the east coast of Demerara, particularly before 1947, and was renowned for publishing an annual almanac that detailed important Hindu religious festivals, feasts, holidays, and other significant cultural and religious events. Kwayana visited Ghana 1964-1965, where he met Kwame Nkrumah 3 times and attended a speech given by Che Guevara. As is well known, Kwayana, along with others, included Takuma Ugunse, Ngozi Moses, Sais Omo, and Sybil Sargent, founded the African Society for Cultural Relations with Independent Africa, ASCRIA, in 1964. In the 1970s, ASCRIA and Indian Political Revolution Associates, IPRA, came together to occupy vacant sugar estate lands and break down divides through multicultural cooperation. Moses Bagon recalls that, quote, Eusi and I met secretly in a motor car in a deserted spot at Happy Acres as the sun darkened. We discussed closer working relations. He then invited me into the heart of Buxton to talk about the cane farmers bill being piloted through Parliament. We were critical of the bill. While Kwayana is best known for his political activism, his contributions to political discourse extends well beyond activism. He played a pivotal role in the ASCRIA bulletins and ASCRIA drums, publications associated with African cultural political movement of the 1960s. Remarkably, Eusi Kwayana holds the unique distinction of having composed the official songs for 3 major political parties in Guyana: the PPP, O Fighting Men, the PNC, Battle Song, and the WPA, People's Power. How many Guyanese today know this? What is lost when this kind of history is not told? I did not know that until I did the research this morning. Describe. As a young writer, he was discovered a writing machine. The Buxton Sage has produced hundreds of works across multiple genres: poems, critical reviews, short stories, letters to newspapers, opinion pieces, song lyrics, obituaries, quote motions, parliamentary interventions, motions and speeches, editorials, political statements, essays, press releases, and plays for both theatre and grassroots events. His literary span stretched from The Prodigal Daughter, his first play, written in the early 1940s, to the book The Legend, Post-Emancipation Villages in Guyana, Making World History, 2026, co-authored with David Hines. Eusi Kwayana's recognition as a poet and political lyricist at Guyana's 2007 Folk Festival in New York underscores his immense contribution to Guyanese and Caribbean political cultural life, a contribution that has seldom been fully acknowledged. His writing ranged from poignant lyricism or on culture, people, and village life to the often anguished, self-effacing critique of Guyana's political landscape, including his own role in it. One of his most remarkable works, Buxton Friendship in Print and Memory, exemplifies his method, a deeply democratic respect for people from all walks of life. Published by Red Thread Women's Press 1999, this village history illuminates the minutiae of everyday life while reinforcing Kwayana's reverence for both the printed word and the oral tradition, the latter long marginalized in formal scholarship, but deeply embedded in the cultural tradition of Guyanese and the Caribbean. Kwayana also wrote several plays, including Christus the Messiah, Proclamation on the 1823 Demerara Revolt, The King and I, and the prize-winning Promised Land in 1965. During the same period, he wrote theatre reviews under aliases Kiskadee Cloud, Political figure, non-politician. This is the other part. Despite his towering contributions, Kwayana remained one of the most misunderstood figures in Guyanese political history. And no political proposal had dogged him more than the call for partition in 1961. The plan primarily advocated joint and equal prime ministership, with partition identified as a last resort. At the time, Kwayana felt that it would bring equality of rights and power for Indians and Africans, an attempt to end the racial antagonism. Reflecting on this period in Caribbean Daylight 1992, a New York-based newspaper edited by Rohit Kanai, Kwayana remarked, quote, "My habit of looking critically at my own actions has provided other actors with a shield. This habit, which I think is a good one, provides others with cover, and all they do is add more and more to their storehouse of non-responsibility to win some quick, short-lived advantage. Whatever is founded on the truth whatever is not founded on truth will fall apart, because reality has no support on which falsehood can rest." Kwayana's philosophy of multiculturalism, tailored to Guyana's unique social-political landscape, is best captured in the celebrated 1978 speech, Racial Insecurity and Political System. This speech laid the foundation for a self-critical assessment of racial division in Guyana and became integral to the WPA's broader philosophy of multiculturalism, a legacy that continues to inform contemporary debate on race and politics, even if unacknowledged. He later expanded upon this in two major analyses of cultural contribution of Indians and Africans and the genesis of a nation conference held at the Pegasus Hotel in 1988. Between early 1970 and 1990, Kwayana was the principal contributor, without bylines, and publisher of Day Clean, a single-sheet WPA publication produced under conditions of state repression and paper scarcity. Kwayana's entry into Guyanese politics was never casual, accidental, superficial, or opportunistic. Throughout, he conveyed a depth of meaning, gravity, and a sense of purpose and urgency to every manifestation of his political instinct and interventions. Few figures in history have been as transformative or as deeply reflective. Kwayana gave extraordinary thought to the meaning of his work, his connection to the essence of our collective being, whether expressed through the individual, the village, or the nation of villages. His concerns extended to children, the elderly, indigenous people, the infirm, and the causes of premature death. He stood firmly on the rights of women and the recognition of martyrs. No one has been more conspicuous in their openness to transformation, or more public in the revolution of their thought and action, Kwayana was prescient, a seafarer in a sense of the situation, a disciplined and careful reader of context. During the 1953 election, he made the suggestion that the PPP should not set itself the goal of winning a majority and become the government. That must have been heresy. The movement, he contended, needed time for its ideas to be more deeply rooted among the people. This suggestion, warning, was not heeded. We know the history of the collapse of the fragile unity in 1955. You have reasons to consider Kwayana a prophet. He stands among those rare political cultural activists whose life and work define each major phase of our country's recent history. We know no one who could grasp the sense of movement or situation as intuitively and comprehensively as he. Within the WPA, when doubts arose and our vision clouded, when we found ourselves at a standstill, who else did we turn to, if not Kwayana? Eusi affected us all in different ways. He was called the sage of Boxon, the village politician, just two among the many titles he acquired. It was in his nature to locate and uplift the basic units of social existence. You can find things You can find this in his writings. This attentiveness to singular, which always added up to a man of expansive vision. His outlook embraced ideas and causes across the Caribbean, Africa, India, and the Americas. Renowned for his mastery of parliamentary procedure, Kwayana possesses an acute grasp of the minutiae of motions and legal framework. He was equally adept at exposing the limitations of Guyana's judicial system, as he was at exploiting its legal structure in pursuit of justice. He frequently filed private legal motions in support of various causes, and his legal writings, still to be compiled, would undoubtedly enrich Guyanese legal theory and practice. Because of the limitations of the Fifth Parliament, 1986 to 1992, and his own preferred mode of representation, Kwayana made the WPA office and his frequent visit to villages and the rural areas centers of representation. Turning Parliament into a living forum, he reopened the use of citizens' petition to the National Assembly as other means of expressing grievances. Outside Parliament, the WPA MP helped other WPA activists assist senior citizens, mothers due for social impact amelioration payment, farmers and water problems, and persons denied reasonable and prompt issue of passport. He visited the Georgetown Hospital on several occasions, taking extensive notes of its deficiencies and speaking with patients. These were only a few of the representations he made. In August 1987, the WPA MP physically stood with protesting crowds as the Kero and gas crisis unfolded. His words were vigilant on the deprivation and abuse of the working people. So long as suffering of this kind is encouraged and maintained by the government, my pen will not sleep in my hand, nor will my tongue cleave to the roof of my mouth. What were the origins of Kwayana's skill in Parliament? A likely possibility was his generational experience from the 1940s to the 1960s, with the ingrained knowledge of the system when fighting British control of the legislature and colony. Cherry Jagan, Forrest Bonham, H.J.M. Hubbard, Janet Jagan, Winifred Gaskin, W.R. Kendall, Boise Ramkaran, and others all exhibited a range of parliamentary prowess during their own shift in the chamber. These parliamentarians were forced to be creative and knowledgeable of the system out of sheer necessity to ensure their survival against the British constitutional and colonial system. Decades later, in the early 70s, there is a true life incident told by a visiting journalist from the US, affirming Kwayana's incorruptibility. According to the New York report, quote, after a paid visit to Africa, Kwayana received a $1,000 check for additional expenses and inconveniences. He sent it back, received another check, and returned that too, with a note saying he had not had any additional expenses. Furthermore, had not been inconvenienced in the least. We have all been convenienced by the 100 years that Eusi Kwayana has lived on this planet. Happy birthday, Brother Kwayana. We salute you, your sons Alpha and Kofi, your daughter Lebo, and your great partners in life, Chaiko Kwayana. A long read, but I think it was worth it. Eusi Kwayana, 101 years old, a few days ago. And when you talk about incorruptibility, can you imagine that? This is something that struck me. Incorruptibility. With all them corrupt jagabot you get now. This is a man who they say visited Africa. And on his return, could imagine in the 70s a check for $1,000 US. That is tremendous money in them days. $1,000 US. He sent it back because they said the check was for additional expenses and inconvenience. And he said that he had not, then they sent the second one. Then he said he had no additional expense, and furthermore, he had not been inconvenienced in the least. So he sent back the money. He sent back the money. They talk about Kwayana initiating private criminal action too. I remember when you had the murder of the man at Buxton there. You see, Kwayana filed a private criminal charge of murder against a serving police officer. We knew what he did. Kwayana. Private criminal charge of murder. Again, I think the then DPP discontinued the proceedings and so on, but that was the person. And I remember him as a young boy, I remember him as Mr. Sidney King because my father was into village politics and I know they used to interact. And I remember him when my father died in 1977. Kwayana came to the funeral there. Came to the funeral, he spoke at the funeral. So yes, he celebrated his 101st birthday at the fort. And these are things we must remember. And as I said, I can't recall seeing it in the any news or on social media. But this morning I was doing some research and I bounced into it and I thought it important enough for me to mention. And it was a long read, but I think many people would have benefited from that information. Let me bring in CC for his comment. CC, brother, you see Kwayana 100 years. What a great soul, huh? What a great soul.
101. I met him a couple of times, and I was impressed with the quiet way in which he expressed himself. Very respectful. And yes, I remember him filing private criminal charge for murder against a certain police officer who is no longer in work. And I think a lot of people should follow that pattern, Too many things happening and they're not filing private criminal proceedings. Too many alarming things, too many unconstitutional things, and they're not filing it. They need to start filing criminal action, private criminal action against certain persons, as the case may be. But it was a good read, and I learned quite a lot from what you read there. But I want to say congratulations to Brother Kwayana and hope that he continue to live many more. I understand he doing quite a lot of writing. I think his site going, but he will dictate things for people to publish. So long live Eusi Kwayana, probably known before them as Sidney King.
Yeah, and a student reminding us here that Kwayana wrote the ombudsman, who we think was E. Gordon Gillett, to investigate two sitting ministers at the time, two sitting members of the then PNC government, Kwayana. And the matter that we refer to, where he filed a private criminal charge, was in the killing of Shaka Blair in Buxton. The killing of Shaka Blair in Buxton, when Kwayana believed that the authorities weren't pursuing that matter with enough vigor, he filed private criminal charge against Officer Steve Mirai for murder. Right? That was the man Kwayana was. He's still, because I've seen from time to time, he has been writing letters. And when you read the letters that he has written, he's a man of scholarship. Not them people you get now, I think. So congratulations to the brother on his 101st birthday, which he observed on the 4th of April this year. And long life, my brother, long life. Long life. You have more to contribute. Because your knowledge, your experience is something that we all can benefit from. And I wish to also compliment the authors of this post, Mr. Moses Bagwan and Mr. Nigel Westmas. They're the ones who wrote this. I guess it was a letter or a post in the Stabrook News last year. So yes. Let me move on. We told you about the death of this woman who is said to kill her daughter. She killed her daughter, and then she attempted to kill her, I think it's 19-month-old son, and attempted suicide. I have seen lots and lots of comments going around on social media. A sad situation. They're claiming, according to what she said, her husband or her partner moved out and left her, and she had nothing to give to the children. She couldn't add nothing, and she felt that the best thing to do was to kill them and kill herself. And prior to this incident, she wrote according to our Facebook page, me and my baby, she had a picture. Me and my baby's last picture. I'm sorry. May God forgive me. Which really shows that it was premeditated. She decided that she can't take it anymore, so she can kill herself and kill the 2 children. I don't believe that, well, many people agree with me. People say, well, she need perhaps psychiatric treatment and all of that. But let me say this, and I don't believe that I am being harsh. It's a murder. She killed our daughter. That is murder. The text suggests premeditation, right? There is no excuse. Let me understand this thing clearly. There is absolutely no excuse. The husband went away for whatever reason, right? She can provide for herself and the 2 children. Killing yourself and killing the two children cannot be the excuse. And I have to ask, they talk about all these support systems that they have. You know, the Ministry of Social Services, they talk about all these support systems they have. What happened to the support systems? The woman killed her daughter, attempted to kill her son, attempted to kill herself. 3 charges off the bat. Murder of the daughter, attempt murder of the son, and attempt suicide for herself. Because they said she's on the guard or something like that at the hospital. But it is sad. It is sad. And then doing the research, I was intrigued to find out some of our contacts, political contacts, at least on social media, Facebook page and so on, to see who are some of our contacts, some prominent people in society. You don't have to ask which party they're associated with, because my research has led me to the conclusion, well, not the conclusion, to also discover that she is supposed to be a 10-day worker. That is what it suggested. I don't know if she was still employed as a 10-day worker, but it suggested she was a 10-day worker. And talking about psychiatric treatment, and I am saying this to say that depending on who our connections are, nothing really might happen. Nothing. This is a woman who killed her daughter. Say what you want to say, right? The police action should be for her to be charged with murder, attempt murder, and attempt suicide. Any thought about psychiatric treatment is for the court to decide. When she goes to court, then our legal people who represent her legally can make arguments that she needs psychiatric evaluation. That is for them to decide. That is not for the police to decide. Let me tell you all early. That is not for the commissioner to decide. That is not for the DPP to decide. That is for the court to decide. She has committed the act of murder, attempt murder, and attempt suicide. As I've said, the people only the court can decide whether she needs psychiatric treatment. When she's charged and she appears before the court, then the court can order psychiatric evaluation. Right? Mental health issues are real. Let me understand that. Mental health issues are real. But we have to look at the support mechanism. We have to look at the support mechanism. Because for time somebody look like they get a little mental health, the first thing we can say, oh, they're mad. Them is mad people. But you know, looking at the picture that she posted, I don't want to put it up, right? Looking at the picture that she posted, which she said, I don't know if the picture was a current picture, but she said, me and my baby's last picture, which suggests is it would have been taken recently. Then she said, I'm sorry. May God forgive me. But in the picture, they all seem to be very happy. She is smiling. The girl is smiling. The little boy has a pleasant look on his face, and cute children. Can't justify the act of killing the girl and attempting to kill the boy and to kill herself. Go to court. Go to court. And you know how this happens when they go, I have to remind you about how selective this thing is, this psychiatric treatment is. Remember back in 2022, I think sometime in May 2022, there's an article here where the woman who was allegedly held at the Chedijagan airport in April with more than 17 pounds of cocaine in her carry-on luggage, in a false side of a laptop bag, and another 3.6 pounds of illegal drugs strapped to her body. Remember the matter? Let me read it for y'all, man. Let me read it. Just over a month after she was busted at Chedijagan Airport and entered a guilty plea to drug trafficking charges, 25-year-old media worker Janelle Williams opted to change her plea to not guilty today as she returned to court for sentencing. Back in April, the presiding magistrate had delayed the sentencing until Williams was evaluated by a psychiatrist. In court today, after the accused opted to change her plea, the charge was read for a second time against her. She entered a not guilty plea and was immediately remanded to jail until late June when the matter comes up again for hearing. Although 3 persons were charged in connection with the airport drug bust, Williams was the only one who pleaded guilty at the first appearance. The other 2 accused, they get a name, I'm not going to call it, were granted bail at the first appearance back then. One, they said, was a GRA custom officer, and the other was a Kanu, right? Let me make sure. Yeah, Kanu officer. That's how the cases were going. And here, this one here. This is something that did not gain sufficient attention. This woman was caught with drugs at the airport. In her suitcase, they say in a suitcase, and a total of 17 pounds of cocaine, right? When she appeared in court, she pleaded guilty. For some reason, I should say for some unknown reason, the magistrate decided that this woman needs to have psychiatric evaluation. The magistrate decided that. Right? When she returned to court on the next occasion, she changed her plea to not guilty. This is 2024. We don't know what to the matter yet. And it was rumored that she was the niece, or she is the niece, of a then sitting minister of government. And it was also alleged, rumored, that it would have been because of the intervention of the minister. She was first, they decided on psychiatric evaluation, and then to plead not guilty. That is what minister's niece, a minister's niece, and that matter fall through the crack because you don't hear anything about it. I say that to say that this psychiatric, this woman who killed her son, don't kill her daughter, maybe she needs psychiatric evaluation indeed. I don't think maybe. She needs psychiatric evaluation. I don't think no person with all the faculties, with all the marbles will do something like that. I don't think they will do something like that. They're going to perhaps go and beg neighbor. They're going to go and do all sorts of things to get things to survive. And then it is said that she's a 10-day worker, so she's not without resources. The resources might not be enough, but that is it. To kill and the manner of killing, they say she strangled the girl. They say she strangled. That is what is reported. Now, that is a cruel way to think. Strangle the 70-year-old girl. Then she attempted to strangle the 19-month-old child. And then she cut her foot, something like that, Achilles heel something twice, and she's in hospital. It is a sad situation, but I'm saying this again. That is something, police work is police work, straightforward. You just got to forget about all the sympathies and police work, in a matter like this. Easy, straightforward. Charge and court. Well, of course, you're going to get legal advice and all that. Charge and court. And let the court decide on the way forward. This is not for the police. Let me say this again. This is not for the police to decide. This is not for the DPP to decide on what treatment she should get. This is straight to the court, and the court can then order that she receive psychiatric treatment. That is how I know it. That is how I know it. Let me ring in CC for him to have his say on this sad matter. CC, go ahead, my brother.
Sad. But I agree with you, Paul. Premeditated. She had given certain indication that she will commit the crime. Given indication that she commit the crime. And I heard from her father, her husband, said, hey, how she behaving. Sometimes he's got to go to his mother and cool out for a couple of days and then come back home. So it was a ongoing thing, and maybe persons didn't really look at it. But for me, it is premeditated, mens rea, intention to kill, to commit the offense. And I agree with you, Paul, it's cold-blooded murder, it's attempt murder, and it's attempt suicide. And there's where you should go. Even after she get charged, you want to use psychiatric treatment and all kind of things, it's them story. But the initial action is murder, attempt suicide.
That is what should be. It's straightforward police matter, but then what is straightforward for us because of our training experience and straightforward for them. Now, we have been telling you for some time about this issue. But let me say let me give praise to CC for telling you about some time about what is alleged to be going on at Marudi Mountain. Marudi Mountain. CC has been saying to us that the way things are going, very soon you're going to get Marudi and the mountain will disappear. Now I want to play some tapes, play at least 2 tapes for you to understand what he was talking about. The first tape is going to be by the leader of the opposition. So listen. Today's the day we're going to play. Y'all got to listen. Share the live. Listen to what is alleged. Marudi Mountain in the news for many things, including the fact that recently members of parliament from the opposition attempted to access the area and they were prevented from doing so. So understand the background to this. Here we go.
This is what corruption looks like under the PPP government. At 12:30 today, Minister Vikram has called a short notice in-person meeting with a select few individuals at the GGMC compound in Lethem. This meeting is no standard meeting. It was called without free prior informed consent. The standard protocol to include our indigenous people in consultations of their land and region. The corrupt Minister Vikram is trying to use their compromised tushos to sign off on documents so that he can push through his agenda to expand their corrupt mining operations. This is how he will open more lands to mine for their friends, families, and favorites. You may recall that during my budget speech, I raised a very serious matter concerning the presence of a foreign fugitive mining in Guyana by the name of Rodrigo. We get a lot of reports in Marudi. Right, I think the name Rodrigo. You got to look into that, Honorable Vikram. Right. I know the name rings a bell to you. And I directed that concern to the Minister of Gold, Vikram Bharat. Let me tell you exactly what is happening at Marudi Mountain in Region 9. Since 2023, reports have been coming from the South Rupununi, specifically Marudi, about corruption, illegal mining, planes bringing drug shipments and leaving with smuggled gold to Venezuela, and foreign operators taking control of the resources that were intended to benefit small Guyanese miners and indigenous communities in Region 9. The individual in question is Rodrigo Martins de Mello, also known as Rodrigo Cataratas, a Brazilian national who was convicted in Brazil for serious crimes like illegal mining and organized operations in indigenous territories. Rodrigo is an actual fugitive offender, fleeing from his home country, Brazil, and hiding out in Guyana, mining tons of Guyana's gold with the full backing of Minister Vikram and his bosses. Rodrigo was accused of laundering 3 billion reais by the Brazilian Federal Police. This is equivalent to 120 billion Guyana dollars. He was sentenced to more than 22 years in prison for leading a criminal organization connected to illegal mining in Brazil's Yanomami indigenous territory. Rodrigo's network operated a fleet of more than 20 aircraft transporting miners, fuel, and illegally mined gold in and out of protected indigenous land in Brazil. The exact same thing this convict is doing here in our country, raping the lands of the indigenous people with the full support and involvement of President Irfan and Minister Vikram. The Brazilians are calling it Operation Greed. Rodrigo and his criminal gang protect their illegal operations in Marudi Mountain with an arsenal of high-powered weapons. President Irfan, how can you allow this man to terrorize our indigenous people on their own ancestral land like this? The whole South Rupununi is living in fear. There has been an upsurge of crime, shootings, robberies, even murders in peaceful communities. This is what you are allowing to happen in Region 9? It is very concerning to Guyanese that Rodrigo has met with senior officials in Guyana's government, was seen interacting with the Minister of Gold, Vikram, announced mining-related investments in the country boldly and blatant on his social media. How did someone accused of narco mining and crimes against indigenous people and the environment in Brazil become so close to the government in recent times almost overnight? No doubt the minister and others high within the government are involved to allow the corruption that is taking place at Marudi. There are reports of helicopter landings in Marudi. The minister needs to clarify whether proper aviation permits were granted, who authorized these flights, and whether Guyana's airspace is being used for illegal mining networks. Vikram Bharat must provide clear answers to the people of Guyana. Were background checks conducted on these operators? What agreements or concessions were granted? And what protections exist to ensure Guyana's natural resources are not being exploited by foreign criminal networks from other countries? The PPP government has an active campaign to go after the small miners and shop owners. Here, we have yet another blatant case of them encouraging corruption to their benefit. Rodrigo campaigned heavily for the PPP during the elections campaign last year.
Fantástico aqui na Guiana, pessoal. Irfan, presidente reeleito na Guiana. Olha.
He donated minibuses to the communities on behalf of the PPP. What happened to these donations? Why have they stopped? Is it because the elections are over? Months before elections, Rodrigo and Vikram were seen giving buses, sports gears, and even cash to two shows. Why have they stopped? Is it because they played their usual political gimmicks and got the votes? You will recall during the campaign, there were many huge buses provided to bring people to PPP rallies in Lethem. These tour buses were provided by Rodrigo. I want to give you an idea of the scale of one of the largest gold smuggling mafia operations in Guyana. Based on reports from GGMC staff and miners on the ground in Marudi, there are 6 processing plants operating, with 50 trucks making up to 10 runs within a 24-hour period. This suggests that more than 500 truckloads are being processed each day. They report that with even a conservative estimate of 1 ounce per truckload, this operation is producing over 500 ounces of gold every single day. This is equivalent to $2.6 million per day. And in a year, with the gold price at $5,000 per ounce, you're looking at approximately $1 billion. This is massive. Just imagine if this money was coming in the banking system. It would have been a significant ease on our importers and a drastic decline on our cost of living. Yet the president of this country turns a blind eye while this is happening in plain sight. In January 2026, the official gazette published a mining permit signed by Minister of Natural Resources Vikram Bharat, granting exclusive mining rights to the son of Minister of Agriculture, Javed Mustafa, exempting him from the competitive bidding and lottery process required of every other prospector, and granting him over 2,300 acres in the gold-rich Marudi mining district. If this was not enough, I heard there are plans to open more lands in Parabara, a village close to Marudi, where a new road is being constructed for son of Minister Zulfikar to mine gold and also Rodrigo. This is what corruption looks like under the PPP government. The Wapishan people of the South Rupununi have had a land title claim over this area dating back decades. For generations, they have called the mountain part of their ancestral lands. Communities in the South Rupununi have reported environmental destruction, increased crime, mercury contamination risks of our waters, and social instability linked to expanding mining activities. These are not small issues. They affect the livelihoods, health, and culture of indigenous communities. Guyana's gold belongs to the people of Guyana. It should benefit our miners, our indigenous communities, and our nation. It should not become a safe haven for individuals escaping prison elsewhere. The people of this country deserve to know what is happening at Marudi Mountain. We are calling for an independent inquiry into the corrupt operations at Marudi.
Corrupt operation at Marudi. Well, the thing we talk about independent investigation, Guyanese, well, the government know nothing about that. They don't know what that entails. So we understand this clearly. But before I comment on that, there's another tape I want you to listen to. Today is the day of tapes, Easter Monday. Listen to this one, related to the same matter.
What if I told you that deep in Guyana's hinterland in Marudi, Region 9, gold may be flowing out by the millions? Foreign miners are allegedly operating freely. Indigenous communities are reportedly afraid to speak. And the government? It's saying almost nothing. This is not just a mining story. This is a story about power, control, and what happens when silence becomes strategy. Today, we break down the Marudi gold controversy and ask the question no one in authority seems willing to answer. What exactly is being hidden? Watch till the end to hear from two political officials who spoke to the public on this growing scandal. Let's start with the facts, because in a story like this, facts matter. Recent reports and statements from opposition figures point to serious allegations. Claims that millions of US dollars in gold are leaving Marudi daily. Reports that Brazilian miners are actively working in the area. Allegations that residents are afraid to speak out due to threats. Now pause right there. These are allegations, not proven facts. But here's where things get uncomfortable. Some elements are confirmed. Foreign miners, including Brazilians, have been present in the region. A controversial Brazilian figure has been linked to mining activity. Opposition members were blocked from entering the area. So the question becomes, if there's nothing to hide, why restrict access?
The motive is corruption and taking advantage of the hinterland community so that their friends, family, and favorites can obtain wealth at the expense of the Guyanese residents of Marudi settlement. The locals advise that approximately $5 million of gold leaves daily from Marudi. They further allege that Guyanese government officials collude with the Brazilians to conceal the extraction and smuggling of Guyanese gold.
This is where the story takes a turn. Members of Parliament tried to visit Marudi. They told us they were denied access. Let that sink in. An elected parliamentary delegation, blocked from entering a part of their own country. Why? Who made that decision? And under what authority? We're hearing authorities from the Guyana Gold Mining Commission GGMC is responsible for the lockout. We're also hearing the decision to block the opposition MPs came from higher up, and that GGMC officials were merely following orders. It's a blame game where fingers are pointing, but no one is taking accountability. So, here's where I want you to lean in and listen closely, because what I'm about to say will give you a clear view on the implications when government officials go mute, when they choose silence, to say nothing at all. My dear viewers, when oversight is blocked, transparency disappears. And when transparency disappears, suspicion fills the vacuum. Now let's talk about the most striking part of this entire situation. The silence. Not just any silence, but what many are calling a loud silence. Because when accusations this serious emerge, you expect a response. A press conference. A statement. An investigation announcement. Instead, very little. And that absence is powerful, because silence in politics is rarely accidental. Silence can mean, we don't have answers yet, or we're managing the situation quietly, or worse yet, we don't want to talk about it. And that's where public trust begins to crack. At the heart of this story are the people of Region 9, indigenous communities, people who have lived on and protected these lands for generations. Now they are at the center of allegations that they are being left out of the benefits of mining. They may be facing intimidation, and that their land is being used without full control or protection. Even if only part of this is true, it's serious. Because this isn't just about gold. It's about rights, representation, and respect.
The fact that APNU MPs were prevented from entering a Guyanese community on misplaced authority is indicative of the PPPC having a desire to hide a gross violation of the rights of Guyanese living and working in the Marudi settlement. Another issue is that locals are barred from entering the communities days at a time and cannot successfully run their small businesses. They cannot do things like delivering fuel, but all tankers are allowed easy entry. Consequently, the entrepreneurs are suffering, locals are fearful, and the MPs who are to represent them are denied entry to Marudi.
History tells us something important. This is not the first time indigenous communities in Guyana have raised concerns about mining. So the Marudi story may not be an isolated incident. It may be part of a larger pattern. Let's talk about the claim that grabbed everyone's attention. Millions in gold leaving daily.
We were told here that over 5 million, we didn't know this, but we were told that there are over 5 million US dollars of gold is being removed from Marudi Mountain. And perhaps that's what they don't want us to see. I don't know how we would see that, because I understand it sometimes moved by helicopter and so on. I understand that there is a Brazilian city behind here where all the Brazilians live. So this is little Brazil behind here. This is a rape on the Guyanese economy that is taking place behind here.
If these allegations are true, this would be massive. We're talking potential smuggling networks, loss of state revenue, weak oversight in a key sector. But again, we must be clear. This claim is not independently verified, and that's exactly why it demands investigation. If the allegations are false, then prove it. If it's true, stop it. But doing nothing? That's not an option. At this point, the government faces a critical moment, not just politically, but morally. You see, my dear listeners, leadership is not tested when things are quiet. It's tested when questions get uncomfortable. Right now the public is asking, who approved mining activity in Marudi? What role are foreign miners playing? Are indigenous communities being protected? And why was access restricted? These are not opposition questions. These are national questions.
Because we don't need any permission. We have traveled this entire country. And never, we just came from Madhya, another mining area in Region 8. And at no point were we asked to get permission to engage with our constituents. But now today, Mr. Dennison is and the Geology and Mines Commission is preventing me and the other members of the parliamentary team from entering. The gates are locked. And I am saying that there is no law, absolutely no law, that allows the Guyana Geology and Mines Commission to prevent a member of parliament from going to engage with his or her constituents. Minister, I am not going to call the permanent secretary or the minister for permission to enter this area. We do not need to contact them for permission to go visit our constituents who live behind here. I would only contact them if we were going to be involved in illegal mining.
Here's the bottom line. The Marudi controversy is not just about gold. It's about trust. Trust in institutions. Trust in leadership. Trust that what belongs to the people is actually being protected for the people. Because when millions are allegedly leaving, when communities are reportedly afraid, and when leaders say little to nothing, silence stops being neutral. It becomes a statement. And right now that statement is raising more questions than answers.
Well, there you have it. We're not finished with that issue. As I've said, Mr. Conway has been raising this Marudi Mountain issue for months now. Months. So let me bring him in for him to lead the discussion on this matter. Cece, welcome. Welcome again. I wish to compliment you on what you have been doing to highlight this problem at Marudi Mountain. So carry on.
Thanks, Paul. I have been talking regularly and throwing out hints that what is going on at Marudi Mountain, the illegal activities. I was even presumptuous enough to say that, hey, that before long we'll have Marudi, but we ain't get the mountain because of the activities there, the illegal activities there of the Brazilian, a fugitive from justice, operating at will in the Marudi Mountains, helicopters touching down and flying off, planes touching down and flying off with gold and illegal substances at will. And there's no flight plan. There's nothing from the Civil Aviation Department. A Brazilian city, they said, comprised of illegal Brazilians. They're breaching the Immigration Act and the labor law. Because according to the Immigration Act, you're supposed to report to the nearest immigration official. Them are reporting, they're coming directly with plane and helicopter, or they're crossing the Takatu and going straight to Marudi. They're supposed to book in with the prison, and if the immigration got to give them a permit, well, how long they would stay. And also, in terms of the labor law, they didn't get no work permit, they're supposed to get a work permit. But no, they gone there, living freely, exploiting the situation. And even the Geology and Mines Commission employees, they have a checkpoint there, they call it, I think this is Bushmouth or somewhere there, where all this year, there are some Brazilians going to rob them same Geology and Mines people and rob people at Marudi Mountains and drove across the Takatu River and went their own way. And this report with 3 persons who are arrested in Brazil, but there's it, nothing else, because the police didn't get no real contact with things. So the thing is that with the Geology and Mines people, first they prevented elected members of parliament from traversing the place, and that is a public road. There's no private property, grievous private property, there's a public road. And people of the Geology and Mines people, they prevented members of parliament from traversing that road. That road leads you to the Takatu River, which separates the two countries, and it also leads you to Marudi. They weren't going there to the Marudi mountain to the gold mining because that's private property, but they're going to speak to the people there. And the thing is that even the Geology and Mines people, all of them hold up and let them, because they were instructed, don't trouble the Brazilians or the job in jeopardy. Senior government officials in collaboration, in close contact with a Brazilian fugitive from justice, doing things, and tons of gold is being produced and smuggled out of this country under declaration. Big crushers that they have, crushing the rocks so that they can process it in the gold. And if you look at the area there now, it's environmental disaster. We know what the EPA, Environment Protection Agency, is doing. That area should be condemned as an environmental disaster. And the mining officials, in collaboration or under instructions from senior government minister not to touch the Brazilians, don't allow people to go there. There's a private property, and they set up roadblocks there, and that is in violation of the Constitution. And here, but the MPs here, they say Article 148.1 say no person shall deprive of his or her freedom of movement. That is to say, the right to move freely through Guyana, the right to reside in any part of Guyana, the right to enter Guyana, the right to leave Guyana, and immunity from expulsion from Ghana. There are other areas where they can stop you in terms of maybe a court might pass an order and you can't go to private property, or sometimes the court may pass and order say you must stay away from certain property, you must go to the thing. But generally, and more so members of parliament being prevented. And I go through the Mines Act, looking for the law which says that the Geology and Mines Commission can set up road barriers. I didn't find any, but I find one in the Police Discipline Act. No, the Police Act, Chapter 16, saying barriers. Notwithstanding any other act, any officer, inspector, certain officer may, if he considers necessary, to do so for the maintenance and preservation of law and order, or for the prevention and detection of crime, erect or place or cause to be erected or place barriers in or across any road or street or in any public place within Guyana in such manner as he may think fit. And 2, any member of the force may take all reasonable steps to prevent any vehicle being driven past such barrier, and the driver of any police of any vehicle who fails to comply with any reasonable signal of a member of the force in uniform requiring such person to stop such vehicle before reaching any such barrier shall be liable to, on summary conviction, to a fine of $48,750 and to imprisonment of 12 months. So the law gives the police, so inspector, suborn officer, or officer in uniform the right to set up barriers. And where those MP will stop, that is a public road. There's a public place. There's no private thing. And there's it, the GGMC officials has put up barriers there, preventing the MPs and Brazilians and other vehicle and other persons passing there at will. Even vehicles with numbers, with Brazilian numbers, some without any number plate, passing through that area freely. If you go into Marudi Mountain, you will see endless Brazilian vehicles there with no number plate, with no registration, no nothing down there. And we're talking about aircraft touching down. We're talking about the planes. We're talking about the helicopters. No flight plan. Civil Aviation Department ain't got nothing at all. And the Brazilians, instead of going to let them and book in, as we say, with the Immigration Department, they're coming by plane, landing direct at Shelton. Helicopter, the same thing, or they crossing the Takatu River at Shelton. And Shelton is about 6 hours traveling from Letem, about 90 miles away. So they ain't worry again to let them to regularize themselves, to make themselves lawful. They're using Shelton to do this thing. And what about the relationship between the Guyanese police and the Brazilian? They don't have any relationship. You understand, in the last robbery they had where they robbed the GMC and minors. 3 persons, you understand, were arrested in Brazil with vehicles. Nothing, because there's no real relationship between the Guyana police at Letem and the Brazilian. I hear the president mounted up that they're going to set up some patrol, some border patrol. I don't know what I mean. I don't know what the structure or what it happened. But the police at Letem, particularly, and the commander there, has got to develop a good relationship so as to quell the lawlessness. I remember when I was commander ENF division, I could talk with authority that I used to visit there regularly, and I used to visit Brazil. I remember a certain commander used to say, Conway, every time you go to Letem, you go to Brazil. I say, yes. I said, is there any objection to me going to Brazil? How could I maintain the relationship with the British? He said, only telling you, me every time you go Letem, you go to Brazil. I said, tell me, Commissioner, when I go to Letem, is it illegal for me to go across Brazil. Say, me only tell you, here, anytime I go, let them I go. And that's how they develop a strong relationship. That when things happen, we get it, the crime intelligence. Even sometimes we want Guyanese in Brazil. I know we don't have no treaty, but he so hand them over to us so we could deal with them, you know. And the thing is that because of corruption in high places, high in government, a Brazilian fugitive was able and still able, understand he's gone now and he's not as he's not going there as he used to be. He used to stay there a long time. Now and again he's slip out, but his operation is still going on there and is highly supported by senior person in the in government and also the Geology and Mines Commission, because all of them getting their drawback. Tons and tons of gold is being smoked. Tons and tons of gold is being. It might be interesting to see the records, to see how many ounces of gold the Brazilian declared to the Geology and Mines Commission. And it might be interesting to note how many of them who are presently now at Marudi Mountains have a passport that are checking with immigration, and the immigration stamp them in, as we say, and to see whether or not they have any permit to work here or how long the immigration give them time to stay. They're there, people say a whole city of Brazilian there doing illegal mining. And quickly, same road that they prevent the people from going, the same road they use to go and cross the Takatu River and gone with the gold and gone with thing. And nothing is being done. Nothing is being total corruption, an environmental disaster. We need an award from the EPA. The EPA should go and visit and see the environmental disaster. Nothing is being done, and all because corruption in high places in this government. A Brazilian fugitive from justice running things at Marudi Mountain.
Well said, my brother. Well said. Let me say this. Thank you for that explanation. Again, I want to compliment you because you have been with this issue for the longest while. But I got some observations of my own. Let me start with the members of parliament who attempted to access the area, and they are confronted with this padlock on the gate and so on. Now, some of you remember parliament, I think you had Sharma Solomon, Dr. Campbell, Sherrod, Psycho Andrews, some other person there. Comrades, you got to prepare to challenge these people there and then, because that barrier across the road there is illegal. They ain't got no authority to stop you from going in the place. None whatsoever. And I got to prepare to challenge people there and then. I listened to the thing the day as it occurred, and they tell them, call the PS. And then, no, call GGMC, the man in charge of the Guyana Gold and Miners Mine Commission, some Denniston or something like that he named. And then it is reported, tell them, call the PS. Well, look, y'all a little soft, you know. Y'all a little soft. Y'all can't properly represent your constituent if you're that soft. I made the same comment when they had the meeting in Parliament building to elect the leader of the opposition, when the media people were prevented from going into the compound of Parliament. I said, y'all soft. Y'all soft. I read a while ago about brother Eusi Kwayana and the things that he did. Reflect on the past. People like Bornham, Jagan, Cherry, Janet, and many others, Dr. Ein, were prepared to be locked up. Y'all got to prepare to take on these people. Can you imagine members of parliament in Guyana are prevented from accessing certain areas? A public road locked, and they are prevented, and they just complain? They are just complaining? Come on, y'all got to do more than complain and here, and no, I think they are threatened legal action and so on. You got to make sure that you are a little bit more aggressive in your representation of the people. You can't just pack up and come to town and say you're going to go to the lawyer and you're going to file some court action and all them type of thing. Yeah, you're too soft. Again, imagine that, imagine that. Members of parliament. Forget about Marudi Mountain and what is going on there, the illegal activities going on there. These are members of parliament who are preventing from accessing areas in Guyana. Because remember, you might be an opposition member of parliament, but once you're a member of parliament, you don't only represent the opposition. Once you're a government, you not only represent the people who support you, you're supposed to give wider representation. And these parliamentarians are prevented from accessing this area. My God, and they complain that they're going to go to court and they're not going to ask permission and all. Go into the place, man. Go into the place. Because the first you got to find out what offense would you be committing if you attempt to access the place. They can't tell you. Somebody give them some illegal instruction. Don't let it go. And let me say this. I am convinced that the fact that all this is going on, all this is made public, and little or nothing is done, is because it is sanctioned by big people. Whatever is going on there. And a lot is going on, as CC highlighted. It's not only the gold mining, but people who are illegal in the country. It's not only the man who's a fugitive from justice, and I ask this question here now. They went after Azuddin Mohammed, and I always have to bring in the disclaimer, the caveat. Me and only know brief for Azuddin Mohammed. There's so much tax he evaded. Some 50 million US tax he did not pay. How much tax these were paying with all this gold were they smuggling out of the country? Or they're taking out, if you want to say it is not being smuggled. How much money the revenue Guyana losing because of that activity there. But they're going to go after, they will not go after these Brazilian people. Yeah? They will not go after them. And that is why I say, despite what anyone else say, I was cited in the news recently, the Azuddin Mohammed case is politically motivated. Regardless, I understand the ambassador and people say, no, it is not. I am saying that based on all the evidence, and this is more evidence, that a man who is a fugitive, who is alleged to be a fugitive from justice in Brazil, can have easy and unfettered access to Guyana, where he is carrying out an illegal mining activity, and nothing is done about it. Nothing is done. You want to tell me this is against Mohammed, is not politically motivated? If it is not, why you don't go after this Brazilian man and all these people? One, they're entering the country illegally. That's one. That's sufficient to get them out. Why has the government has not ordered the joint services to mount an operation to remove them from there? Other places, other mines around the place, they get stop order and then police and soldier go in. They can't work. But in this case, in Marudi, no such order. The people to continue to work. Big operation, big operation. And this, understand this, student, this is not an operation where they're doing what they call it alluvial mining and you're panning for gold in some creek or you're digging some pit. The people get machinery, it's a big operation, machinery, where they're digging the thing, they're crushing stone and all of that. Machinery, big operation, all $2.5 million a day, whatever it is. Whatever it is. Azuddin said $2.5 million. The MP said they're hearing $5 million. It's a lot of money per day. Per day being going out. No, as far as we were aware, no royalty is being paid. So the Guyana government ain't benefiting from anything. We, the people from Guyana, ain't benefiting. Can you imagine that? And they're going to tell us that the issue with Azuddin Mohammed alleged to be smuggling gold and doing that is not politically motivated. What happened to all the other gold smugglers? We know, or we were told, that they get gold smugglers who are smuggling more gold, and I'm talking about the Brazilian, long before, more gold than what Azuddin can dream to smuggle. And they ain't going after them. They ain't going after them. And I say this again, the only reason, and I see some people commenting, nobody ain't got no sympathy for Azuddin. This is not sympathy for Azuddin, because he was part and parcel with them. He was part and parcel, and because of the falling out. And why did they fall out? We are told, it's alleged, that they fell out because he showed political ambition. So I guess the others are not showing any political ambition, so they are allowed to continue with all the smuggling and other illegal activities. This is not a real place. Ghana is not a real place. Then look, there's an issue there over the weekend too. Where it is? We're in the same Marudi. What we saw there is it is said that a person right at Marudi over the weekend was electrocuted. So that would suggest that the Ministry of Labor should have some type of involvement in this. Let me tell you about the Ministry of Labor, the GGMC people. That is Vikram Bharat Ministry. Guys mining, right? Immigration, Minister of Home Affairs should get involved, because if you have people coming into the country and not presenting themselves to an immigration officer, that is illegal. They should be dealing with it. And so many other ministries, EPA, the Environmental Protection Agency that Mr. Conway spoke of. A lot of these agencies should be involved in what is going on here, but they are not going to be involved because this whole operation is sanctioned by senior people, and it is sanctioned for personal gains. It's sanctioned for personal gains. You could call them kickback, you could call it bribe, you could call it corruption. That's the only explanation why this is allowed to go on. Only explanation why it is allowed to go on. But we're going to keep, again, let me compliment my colleague, Mr. Conway. And the students who have been here for some time support the fact that Conway has been speaking about this issue for months now. Marudi Mountain, for months he has been highlighting what is going on there. And after a while now, the members of parliament decide to go in. I can't recall hearing a word from the government about what is happening there, I can't. Maybe they have said something. It missed me. People are talking about it. Members of parliament, we have been speaking about it. Right? I can't recall hearing a word. I haven't seen. If it is that they did say something, it missed me. And perhaps I can apologize to y'all because it missed me. But I guess if y'all were loud enough, if you were vocal enough, it wouldn't miss me. Because I can tell you I monitor social media and regular media and all this. I can't recall anything being said. And then over the weekend, where government talk about border patrol, the president makes some statement about border patrol. More talk, big lamp and no oil. More talk again. Just talk. Just talk. And as I've said, we are going to continue to monitor this situation at Marudi Mountain, and we're going to continue to update. I leave by saying to my members of parliament, many of whom I know personally, are you staff can go to the place to visit, and then some people put things and tell you, you can't come here because you got to get permission. You got to get permission as a member of parliament in particular to travel places in Guyana. What nonsense is that? What nonsense? And you are just complaining that you're going to go to court and all that. Have you gone to court as yet? This is over a week. You were denied access to a part of Guyana. Over a week. As I said again, let me remind y'all, back as a little boy, I know that, and if you check the history of politics in Guyana, many of them have gone to jail, to prison. Not prison, jail. Right? I know the sentence. Prisons when they get sentenced. Lock up. You get locked up. They get locked up there and they put it in simple language for showing dissent. So maybe you got to make up your mind for spending a little time for show dissent. And people are going to be on your side. Once you are doing the correct thing, right thinking people will support you. I know the right thinking population in Guyana is diminishing. And even if it is not diminishing, at least the ones who are prepared to be vocal, that's a diminishing group of people. prepared to stand up and make their voices heard, all because of the repressive nature of the government. So you open your mouth, cybercrime charge. Since you open your mouth, they trump up some charge and give you. Don't be afraid, man. Don't be afraid. What are you afraid of? That you're going to die? You have to die. You have to die. You can't live forever. Even the same politicians were thieving all their money and so on. They got to die. I mean, some people will say that date is not coming fast enough. But everything is in the hands of the Lord. He decides when they will go. He can decide. He will decide. And as I've said, I want some of them that long to be like Jacob. You know the song by Shadow? It named Toe Jam. I can play it for you all one day. Toe Jam. Right? Jacob, walk and shake up. They must walk. They must punish. Some of them, death is too easy for them. They must stay and punish. Right? As many of them are punishing. That is what. And I put your mouth on them. It's whatever they do. Whatever you reap, whatever you sow, you are going to reap. Whatever you sow, you are going to reap. Which brings me to this other matter that I alluded to earlier, where they had this fatal accident. And the man who died in that accident is, what you name? I told you the thing earlier. Hold a while, let me pull it up again. The death, fatal, Damon Barlow. He was one of them accused of kidnapping this man. September 2024, sometime around there. Let me read what was said. This is October the 21st, 2024. This headline: Cops still have not found the main street kidnap victim as family memorialize him on board day. Nearly a month after he was abducted on Main Street, Georgetown, the police are no closer to finding Joshua David, much to the anguish and disappointment of his family and relatives. David, called Bricks, passed another milestone yesterday, and family and friends posted pictures and memories of him on several social media sites. David kidnapping on September the 26th had been caught on video by someone in a vehicle who then forwarded to reporters. In the video, 5 men could be seen pushing David across Main Street as he attempted to fight them off. Meanwhile, the 7 men accused in his abduction were released on $500,000 bail each when they appeared before the acting chief magistrate at the Georgetown Magistrate Court on October the 11th. This is 2024, you know. The 7 accused residents, including this one, Damian Barlow, who died Saturday night, I think it was, in this accident, right? They said they were not required to plea. Bail came with the condition that they report every Friday between 8 and 16 hours to the DDO, that is the Divisional Detective Officer, or Station Sergeant at the Breakdown Police Station. Have they been reporting? I wonder. It goes on to say, Police Prosecutor Inspector Jones had objected to bail on the grounds that the police had received information that the victim was murdered and the search for the body was ongoing. The prosecutor also told the magistrate that the police have CCTV footage that captured the accused in the commission of the crime and eyewitnesses to the crime. However, the magistrate overruled the prosecutor's submission, citing that the crime was a bailable offense under the Act and that the police had not found the body. Now, this man, they say driving at a speed, Mandela Avenue, say hit the median, go over to the other side and crashed into a parked truck. That is what was said. Crashed into a parked truck. I want to get a picture. This little challenge is the challenge that we had this morning prevented me from doing a lot of things. Right? Here it is. Watch. This is it. This is the deceased and this is the vehicle. This is the vehicle. Right? Accused, remember, he was accused. He ain't guilty of nothing. He was accused of kidnapping this man. Karma, tell her you all the time. Karma, you no timeline, you know. Karma. So he dead now. But you know, this matter has just disappeared off the radar. disappeared. I made some comment on it when it happened, and the people, let me remind you how it happened. This man was kidnapped. Then, after he was kidnapped, 2 persons had turned themselves in. Police had put out wanted bulletin, and 2 of them had turned themselves in. They were charged, the 2 were charged and remanded to prison. Then subsequently, I think 5 others, right, appeared. And they were all put on bail. I read this story there. They were all placed on bail. Now, this is a case where a man is abducted in broad daylight. The suspects are charged with abduction. They appeared before the magistrate. The prosecutor made submissions or made for bail to be denied. And the magistrate overruled and said, here what the magistrate is alleged to have said, that the offense is a bailable one, right, under the act, and that the police had not found the body. The offense is a bailable one, and the police had not found the body. Well, I would submit that the fact that the police had not found the body, that was the reason why bail should have been denied. That would have been my submission. That should have been grounds to deny bail. But the people were put on bail. And by now, I know, I'm sure that the family must have come to the inevitable conclusion that the man was murdered, never to be found. And if you recall, police had a big manhunt, or not manhunt, a big search for this deceased person. Manhunt, yeah, because they wanted the suspect as well. And it is alleged that a senior officer intervened and called off the search, ordered them to stand down, and they stood down, and the search was resumed sometime after. It is the feeling of many that the decision to stand down the search was done so as to give the perpetrators enough time to dispose of the body. That is what was said. Enough time to dispose of the body. Not found. And I want to ask the police this. This is September 2024. Last seen. Abducted. Wait. Have you not, well, when will you move to the court? When will you move to the court to have a pronouncement, to have an order for this man to be presumed dead? I know, I hear the thing there. Some jurisdiction, person has to be mission for at least 7 years, some 3 years. But there's a caveat with these things. Because they said, depending on the circumstances which led to the person's disappearance, such an application can be made within months. And the site, for example, aircraft crash and somebody not found, you can't wait 7 years and 3 years. You know that is a presumption the person died. A boat sinks, some capsize, and same thing, there can be that presumption, right? Natural disaster, some earthquake or something like that, natural disaster, the person can be presumed to be dead. But you got to go to the court. It's the court has to make the presumption. And are they still charged and remanded and on bail for abduction when after all this time brick cannot be found? Brick cannot be found. So it's sad. But you know, they say karma as a way of catching up with them. So I know what thief into and do now, so I think the people, including the ones who are behind the Marudi mountain stuff, karma, hold on. And they always say, it's not you pick me them or close relatives. And many times, they had an accident the other day, and you hear a senior man, uncle died, and all them tell you, well, be karma, right? Karma. So I thought I'll mention that to put some context to this issue. I know many people may be celebrating. Say I don't celebrate that, but many people may be celebrating the fact at least a man family. Like that time the man talk about Brick, Joshua David called Brick, his family might be celebrating the fact that this one, right, Damon Barlow, has met his maker. Right? Let me bring in CC for him to say something on this. And then we are going to move off. Time running out on me, but we get a little, today's holiday, man. Yeah, CC, go ahead.
Yeah, I remember the social break. They where allegations are that a deputy commissioner of police called out the team. Maybe it was right because they were searching and they carry a dog, a sniffer dog, a dog that is trained to sniff cocaine and marijuana. There's a dog they carry to look for maybe a dead body. And I agree with you. Karma is come. And remember Stephen Covey, you say there are consequences for your actions. He said if you pick up one end of the stick, is the whole stick you pick up. And if you jump off a 20-story building, you can't change your mind at the 10th story because gravity is in control. And let me just go back slightly to Marudi Mountain. Occupational health and safety. There's an act. And each organization, each operation, you have to go by act. For the matter, there's supposed to be a committee set up in the operation there. And we hear a man get electrocuted. I wonder what was the response by the police if any man get electrocuted. And they're using a house of the mockery. Mockery, they ban mockery, but they're using a whole set of mockery there. Destroying the environment with mockery. A little poke, if you find it with a little bit thing, they want to charge them. But there's it at Marudi Mountain, large scale mockery being used like Wild West. And nothing is being done. Ministry of Health, Ministry of Labor, Occupational Health and Safety. Go check what go on at Marudi Mountain. You will be shocked to know what is going on there.
So he said, like the one where you say that you can't change your mind. Once you jump off the building, you can't change your mind. You know, I had a similar thing I used to tell people who I trained when I was an instructor and so on. They display some form of indiscipline. I used to tell them, indisciplined people should take up parachuting. You should take up parachuting. In other words, you're going to jump out the plane, and the instructor tell you that you should pull the ripcord at a particular time, and you're so damn indisciplined, you decide that you ain't pulling it at all. And then you just fall to the ground, and whatever happened, according to a certain man, whatever comes to do. Remember the thing? I get that for play for y'all sometime, you know. Whatever comes to do, that is a certain person had made such a statement. Whatever comes to do when they're threatening Kaicho News employees. Y'all remember that? Y'all remember that? Some of y'all might not. I'm going to remind you, I'm going to refresh y'all memory on some of these things. Now, more allegation about corruption. Let me play this one for y'all. Listen to this carefully.
Wearing brown and black. The problem is, here, Mr. Fraser, all right? A few Saturdays ago, I went to Johnson and my son took my car to go to the wash bay. My son could drive here, but he's 16 years old. But while going to the wash bay, he encountered Mr. Carpenter Fraser and the other guy in brown and black. Right? And he told him, yo, this is my dad. He don't know I got the car. Please doing the next thing to call me. To cut the shot together, I went to the scene. Carpenter Fraser, right here, told me he need $30,000. Right? I said, Carpenter Fraser, I'm a public servant. Pay that come up. I'm going to give you $10,000 now. I'm going to give you $20,000 in a week. The people are why I understand because I'm mad. I'm not a crime. I don't do crime. I work hard. I help my family. He tell me what $30,000. I give him 10. I was on my way to work. He ran up to me, right up to me, almost knocked me down, and shot at me, and telling me he didn't get right for the rest of the money. Now please, Commissioner, Commander Simon, Commissioner Hicken, everyone y'all know Mr. Washington. Everyone here love is so white should come from Fraser. Doing that. I do 5350. It is as a reason you give me a ticket. I'm doing 53. 53 give me a ticket. Not in violation. I think it's passing up and down. This is a direct result of my bribe money that he's bullying me for. I keep all my arrangements, but I'm a public servant. If I give you 10 and owe you 20, wait on me. Don't bully me and tell me that you will get money now. Call me, you will get wrong. It's just you had a uniform. So I want the authorities, Minister of Home Affairs, aside the traffic chief said, any officer.
Hear the allegation. Why did they start an investigation there? A matter like that, you're going to say OPR. Or if we were to go by what Gail Teixeira said, maybe he has not made a report to the police. You know, remember that? When Gail Teixeira went to some United Nations forum and they asked her why the allegation leveled against the Vice President Jagdeo was not being investigated. That is a Sugate allegation, which is alleged that the Vice President takes $500,000 from Chinese businessmen to facilitate certain business. She said no report was made to the police, so they can't investigate. Gail Teixeira says so. Is alleged to have said that. Let me correct that. She's alleged to have said that. That no report was made to the police, so they can't investigate. So maybe this man is saying in Washington has not made a report to the police, so they can't investigate. That is what we have come to. You think they're all over there? Man said $30,000. You give 10. Say, you're going to get the 20 later. The man bullying you for the money for the next 10. You want the next $20,000. He called the couple name and all sort of thing, bullying you. Let me tell you a story. One of Ulrich and Kevin on this live, because they know the story. The forest police, I get trouble at West Demerara. Something similar. He wanted money. He makes some arrangement with a man to collect some bribe money. The man gave him a part. And he bullied the man for the next part. And the man went, Mr. Bombry, deputy commissioner, he was assistant commissioner then, was the commander at Lenora, and he then complained to Mr. Bombry that this policeman, the detective, want a bribe from Iggy part, and the man bullied me for the rest. And Bombry called me and said, instructed me to do what police should do. So, all right. We mark money and give it to the man. In the court compound at Lenora, the police collect the money. Then the man came to us, told us the police collected the money. I think it was Kevin. Kevin was asked to bring him to the office. I was the 2IC then. And the man come to the office with the detective and everybody. The man get the mark money. The police get the mark money for him. Police had the mark money on him. And of course, he was charged and placed before the court. And I told you all the story before when they make threat and all this stuff. This police was the man allegedly, like he gave the man something to keep. He gave this man this money to keep. So he's returning now he's demanding now the remainder of his money. And you tell me them people shouldn't get trouble? Who is going to investigate? That doesn't require OPR. The detectives, the commander, he calls the commander name, and right in the division should have taken a statement from him and proceed. Take one statement from the man who's making the allegation and proceed. You have got to treat with those matters in the manner it deserves. Condignly. That's the only way you can bring back some semblance of order into the police force. You have to treat with this matter. Not only OPR can investigate. There means investigations to be done in the division. In the division should be done. So the man is making the allegation. We're waiting to see what will happen. Let me bring in Mr. Conway for him to comment on that. Because I know as a commander, what action he would have taken. CC?
They're going to say OPR will investigate. Boy saying, in my days as commander, nobody from CID, it wasn't coming and investigate no matter unless I request this kind of thing there. And if I was commander, OPR, I chase him and say, go along away, you know. But there's a commander's responsibility. The commander got to deal with it, you know. The commander got to deal with it. I had cases like you, Paul. I deal with men who collected bribe, but the commander, them, I don't know. I hope by now, the commander that Linden has started initiate action, to deal with the situation. He can't say he know, because if he know something is wrong, that OPR, and the thing is, why I understand from OPR that all the matters that OPR investigates, the file gain straight to the DPP, from OPR to the DPP, not from OPR to the division commando. From OPR, that's why the DPP clog up. The DPP said, like, how much thousand matters there. OPR investigating, and they're not following the procedure from OPR to the DPP. And then I want to know what really is the rank structure of OPR. I understand the head is a superintendent, and the next person in line is an inspector, and then you got some corporals and sergeant. How could they be effective? How could they be effective? Because if the OPR is a superintendent, an allegation made against somebody high, the same rank with the, and high in rank with, especially if you're dealing with a matter departmentally under the Police Discipline Act, the OPR can't investigate. They can't investigate, especially if it's a disciplinary matter. They can't investigate, because the act says every alleged commission of a breach of discipline shall be investigated as soon as practicable by a member of the force not below the rank of a sergeant and of a higher rank than the rank who is alleged to have committed the offense. So if the boss not there, the next person is an inspector, and then they get some corporals and sergeants. And total nonsense going on at the OPR.
Total nonsenseness going on at OPR. Now, like I saw a news item, it was yesterday, corporal charged for corrupt transaction on self-bail. This is some Kaichor news. It said a 30-year-old corporal of the Guyana Police Force who was charged in connection to corrupt transaction with an agent was placed on self-bail. The Guyana Police Force said the accused, the Carly name, allegedly committed the crime on January 13, 2026 at Nomprel Police Outpost. The corporal appeared at the Vigilance Magistrate Court, and on Wednesday, April the 1st, All Fools Day, he appeared on All Fools Day, where the charge was read to him. He pleaded not guilty. The matter is adjourned. He put on self-bail. The matter is adjourned to April the 28th, 2026. Now, if the police got issued such a release, I would have thought that the police would have said what constituted the offense, because I was looking for that. Corrupt transaction with an agent. Me, I know the corrupt transaction is with an agent. I thought it was corrupt transaction by agent. I might be wrong. But if my memory serves me correct, the charge is corrupt transaction by an agent. He is the agent who is corrupt. When you say corrupt transaction with agent, it implies that it was somebody else. But it's corrupt transaction by agent, and you establish that the police is the agent who corruptly accepted or demanded. Well, not demand, because demand is a separate charge, demanding with menace. So I saw that. They said the matter is adjourned to April 28th. We haven't gotten the details. But let me tell you all, look at the crystal ball. What's going to happen in a matter like this? You're going to hear that whoever he collect money from, because corrupt transaction mean that he collect money from somebody for do something or not to do something, right? Corrupt transaction. Can we talk about corrupt transaction? You either did something that you were not authorized to do, right? Or you failed to do something that you were supposed to do, right? So you have act and omissions. Corrupt transaction by agent, not with agent, or by agent. And what can happen? So if somebody you take money from, let me understand, even though they did not disclose that in the release, it's somebody you take money from for something, right? Corrupt transaction. And what can happen? Whoever you take the money from, you're going to hear most likely that they go and they give back the body the money and beg the body not to go to court to give evidence in the matter. And therefore, the court will have no alternative but to dismiss the case. And the man going to be back on the job, because he ain't going to dismiss it as he had done to many others. You know, you can add, well, by now I guess he would have learned. Some people say he can't learn. But in recent times, I have not seen cases where ranks who are charged are summarily and unconstitutionally dismissed. He did so on several occasions in the past. The most notable ones were Damian McClennan, Tristan Simon, and the Nabriga boy who was charged with the murder of Quinlan Bacchus. The day they appeared in court, the same day they appeared in court, he can dismiss them. He dismissed them unconstitutionally and lawfully. They were not afforded the presumption of innocence. He dismissed them. But I guess he learned now, so he's going to dismiss this one. I'm not advocating for the person to be dismissed because I'm a rule of law man. He is innocent until proven guilty. And right now it is only an allegation, right? It's only an allegation. Let me tell you, let's get the thing live. So let's get it live. Let me see what they think. They said I understand that the corrupt transaction is not, they said money and involved. I understand that this thing, money and involved, that the police is alleged to have lent a phone to someone in a cell to make a call home. That's what they're saying, you know. I am being informed live on this show that the case that I just read, money wasn't involved. They're saying that and again, you know, I said I should have a suspect. The fact that they did not state the circumstances of the charge, antenna went up. But I'm being advised, I'm being informed that the police is alleged to have loaned a phone to someone in the cell to make a phone call, to call home. And therefore they said it's corrupt transaction by agent. They said by an agent. That is what it has come to. A man, that is what they're saying, not verified, but the allegation is that he gave his phone or he loaned his phone to a man who was in the cell to make a call to the man's home. And they say that is corrupt transaction. So the man is charged. I hear that it is elsewhere. I have not seen it. That is what is being reported. But I'll tell you all, from the time I read the story, and they said that this man, right, corrupt transaction, but no details were given, right? No details were given. I say something smell wrong, right? I said something smell wrong. Let me bring in CC. CC, let me bring you in, man. You know, with our knowledge and experience and our training in statement analysis, once you read the thing that they say, right away I said, something irregular. Because they're saying, let me read it back, they're saying that he charged with connection to corrupt transaction with agent and was placed on self-bail. They say allegedly committed the crime on January the 13th, but they have not said what constitutes the crime, which caused me to be suspicious right away. CC, what say you?
I'm looking at the charge, you know. Permit me to read. I think is section 105 of the Summary Jurisdiction Offences Act, Chapter 8:02, and the charges corrupt transaction with agent, and section 105.2. I don't have time to read over it, but if you read section 105.2 of the Summary Jurisdiction Offences Act, Chapter 802, that's where the charging thing. It's corrupt transaction with agent. And remember the thing, good, because for you to proceed with the charge, you have to get what we call the DPP's fiat, the approval from the DPP. There's one of the cases that forgot to the DPP, and you got to get the DPP fiat, the command from the DPP to proceed with that matter. So I know if they are apply or if they're gone to the DPP to have the fiat.
Yes, you're correct. I check it back. You're correct. Corrupt transaction with agent. But I've said the fact that they didn't get any details, I became suspicious. They did not give any details, so it became suspicious right away that something not regular. Something not regular. Right? But we are being told now that this policeman gave his phone to someone who was in custody in the cell to make a call to his home, that is the man in the cell, and that is what constitutes the offense. And something, again, you just pick up these things, you pick them up. Why would you give a release and not say what are the facts surrounding the offense? That is standard. You will say he did so, he's alleged so. But in this case, they didn't do that. And the reason why they didn't do that, because they know people raise people's eyebrows. They know that. They know that, right? They know that. Now, well, some people say we must make up, but we're running now for 2 hours and 16 minutes already. So we have made up, even though we started late. This program, according to the platform, is running now for almost 2 hours and 17 minutes. I know a lot of people fly kites in the afternoon in Guyana. Picnic time, they wait until you cook your food and then you go out around 12, 1 o'clock. So again, I have to say, I want to compliment you for your attendance despite all the issues we had at the beginning. Here we are again. You know, there's so many other things that we wanted to talk about. Well, we're gonna leave it for the next day. We talk about in the broadcast, in the notification. I said we would talk about corruption. We highlighted some corrupt issues already. Let me show you all one more. And ask this. The context of this is not known, but let me show you all this. And these are the things that you should investigate. Look, this is circulating around. See, that's part of the problem. This thing is circulating. You have no context. You see a man sitting there, appears to give the police rank look like money. They are members of the GDF sitting around. So you know what's really going on. But again, because the thing is about perception. So many allegations of police taking bribe. People on social media say, oh, police taking bribe and so on. But just looking at that, I don't know that you can accuse the policeman of taking a bribe. But if you had a proper public relations department of the police force, they would have seen that and they would have explained what exactly was going on there to debunk any claim of corruption. But they don't do that. That's the problem. So it is circulating around social media and people saying all kind of things. Let me show you a little one we shot. As I've said, there's no context, so you don't know where it happened. You don't know when it happened. So don't jump to no conclusion. Don't jump to no conclusion. Can be something very legitimate, but it's perception. And that's why they say sometimes perception is reality. Policemen are perceived to be corrupt, unfairly so. Because it's not all policemen corrupt. Let me say that. It's not all policemen who are corrupt. Period 7, just a few. I don't think it's a few. They got a lot of them are corrupt. And the whole issue with corruption, I believe, is because they are not held to account. They operate with impunity. And that is the big issue. Because that is the modus of the government. That is the modus of the government. When corrupt allegations are made, no investigation. But look, all you check. You check. And going back to this issue with this policeman who get charged, I would love to know who he is and the circumstances, because this is a strange one. Policemen don't get charged now for being corrupt. It can take $8.5 million. The commissioner of police took $8.5 million. And this is not an allegation. It's an admission. The man gave a statement to say he took $8.5 million from businessman Amir Ahmad. to finance the wedding of Brutus. Corruption. Corruption. That is misconduct in public office. Because he said he took it in the office of the commissioner. The man gave him an envelope. One envelope, he said. I get the statement. You get one envelope with $8.5 million. Well, it's a big ass envelope because the highest denomination in Guyana is $5,000. And do the maths. If it's 8.5, right? Assuming that the bills were the largest denomination, $5,000, there's 17 words in one envelope. What kind of envelope though? And nothing happened. Nothing happened. Right? Nothing happened. So they don't investigate them type of thing because I suspect they believe if you investigate, you can investigate Jack Dio too. You got to investigate the Vikram Bharat because remember Junior Bash said that Bharat corrupt. Junior Bash talk about the president taking drawback too. You got to investigate all of them. There is no appetite for that, and I'm using that word again. There is no appetite for investigate anything related to corruption. That is why I would really love to know the circumstances surrounding this policeman, the corporal who they say get charged with corrupt transaction with agent. I would love to know what are the circumstances surrounding. That's a strange one. Let me bring in CC for his closing here now. And I'll find some song to play for y'all and give you a look forward. CC, what are your closing on this Easter Monday, man?
I was hoping that on this Easter Monday, by Monday, those policemen, those Amerindian police who are now stationed at Lethem, who was doing their training, they had to purchase footwear for $9,000, footwear that the government has issued them. They had to buy them from a corporal at police headquarters who's fronting for a very senior officer. They have not been refunded their money. And some of them work at the rodeo there over the weekend, wearing the same footwear. And they're going to be part of the president's border patrol. But there's it. They have to pay $9,000 for footwear that the government has issued from a police corporal station at police headquarters. And up to now, they have not been refunded a cent.
Thank you, my brother. Enjoy your Easter, the remainder of your Easter. Go and fly your kite. Fly your kite in safe places. And when you fly your kite, we ain't talking about Uncle Charlie kite, you know. You're not talking about this them young people on this program know what is meant when we back in the day used to say, you're flying Uncle Charlie kite. I ain't gonna tell you, I ain't gonna explain, but we used to say so. You fly Uncle Charlie kite. And let me, as I've said on this thing, we had difficulties at the beginning, but we don't give up. We fight and we fight, and eventually we were able to get the stream. And again, I want to thank you for your participation on this Easter Monday. Thank you for your participation on this Easter Monday. Well, let me make sure. I got to play this. As I said, we don't give up, All the technical issues we had this morning, we ain't giving up.
Corrales, despite us. There he goes. There goes Corrales. A sharp, accurate left hook to the face for Castillo. Will he get up?
6, 7, 8. Come to me. You all right? You want to continue? Okay, here we go. Time. Come here.
His mouthpiece was knocked out. He'll get a few extra seconds here.
Put it in.
Joe Goosen smartly, very slowly, putting it back in. It was a one-punch knockdown. Corrales in deep trouble, obviously.
He's in big trouble. I think he's done.
3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Come here. You all right? I'm gonna penalize you. Taking 1 point off. Time.
Now this is really becoming a huge round for Castillo. If the bell, he's taking a point away from Castillo, from Corrales, for spitting out the mouthpiece. For losing the mouthpiece twice.
He didn't even know what happened.
Here we go.
I think
this could be a 10-6 round then.
Could be.
he didn't know he dropped the mouthpiece. He didn't know it. Boy, Castillo's looking to finish this thing up. Corrales, a desperate fighter, and a right hand for Corrales staggers Castillo. Oh my goodness. Can he survive this? A left hook, Castillo's staggered once again. Both fighters, but Castillo won't go down. He's never been down.
I don't think I've ever seen anything quite like this.
Left hook from Corrales. Castillo's wobbly. Now here comes Corrales. Unbelievable! 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 Diego Corrales.
Anytime you want a little inspiration, just look at that. Never give up. Never. So this morning when we faced all the challenges, I reflected on that fight and we ain't giving up. We ain't giving up. And and listen to this one, man. I gotta play all this one.
But I will commit that under His Excellency's leadership, I will try my utmost best and at 100% to give this sector what it deserves.
That is the Minister of Education. She's telling us she's going to try her utmost best. Minister of Education. Talking about education, I think around this time, you just got the common entrance now. Common entrance should be around this time. So I want to wish all those children who are taking what we call the secondary school entrance examination, I want to wish those children all the best who are taking the SSEC, all the best. All the best. You know, and people have said that it's something a little antiquated, they should do away with that, because it gives the impression that if you don't make it at this stage to get one of the top schools, then you're a failure and all kind of things. So people say it should be abandoned, this SSEC, because at the end of when the results are out, they're going to hear which the placement the children get, who get the top schools and who ain't get the top school, and then the impression that is created, that is traditional, that if you ain't make the top schools, your life done. At that early age, 12, 13 age, the impression is conveyed to you that if you didn't make it then, that's it. Nobody talking about trade and all this type of thing, you know. So all the best to those children who are taking the exam. I know it is normally around this time. Also, certain things you don't hear about much, you know. Supposed to get Carifta Games around this time too. I saw some posts here and there, but no big publicity as to what is taking place. Easter weekend is Carifta Games. I don't even know where it is being held this year. So, you know, sports is something that I would normally follow, but we're not hearing anything about that. And the last tune I want to play this tune for you, Always Relevant. Let me see if I can find it. Always Relevant with these bad-minded people. Where it is. Y'all bear with me, man. Bear with me. Let me try to find this very appropriate. Here it is. It is. Sasko. Hey, yo, man. Yo, Sasko. We're rolling this tonight.
When I see my friends become my enemy, I have to far.
No one near them will not go.
No link, no bar. Cause I know dirty heart can't sweep with broom. They are like the trees we can't bloom, and they shall slowly fade away. And I know dirty heart can't wash with soap. The meditation we supply proof, and they shall slowly fade away.
But I'm a massacre, me no bromain. mind. Enough of them now go like that showing you why. Bad mind stuck in a them head like a tumor. Them fake like 3 stripe, one a night made by Puma. Them tell only police, not only by rumor. Start go you not to them, I say you got back out. Get your visa, you fly out. Them a pray for you drop out them. Sit down and calculate by in and you back out them. Say them are your friend, but them heart warm about to me. Say,
well, dirty heart can't sweep with broom.
Good and never.
They are like the trees we can't bloom.
Good and never.
They shall surely fade away. And I know dirty heart can't wash with soap. And there is no bad mind antidote. They shall slowly fade away. Then look along we tell them say fi stop fight. Can't son of the done enough for them a come a act like. Them a you brother, all them good for fit backbite. Watch them kill it pretty soon them a go. Go show them colors like a stoplight. Them
color down a brass fight. Them hearts so dirty, want to discover with a Scotch bride. Them need a whole reservoir of jelly water to wash off them heart. That could hold it on the back pan at the standpipe.
Find out, dirty heart can't sweep with broom.
Good and never.
They are like the trees we can't bloom.
Good and never.
They shall surely fade away. And I know dirty heart can't wash with soap. The meditation to supply hope, and they shall slowly fade away.
Well, granny tell me friend, don't trip. So from the other day you see, friend we don't trip. A family we say because and everything we come and show teeth and your friend. First if you're making money, only enough. Last them raised like the sheep, back a nickel bow peep. Watch them killing evil quit. Don't sleep, cause when you out they sleep you won't see it. Boy, 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 boy,
boy. When I call you friend, I see you as my brother. Always lie, but if I can't trust my brother enough, I tell you say I got to go 'cause I know dirty heart can't sweep with broom. They are like the trees we can't bloom. They shall surely fade away. And I know dirty heart can't wash with soap. There is no bad mind antidote, and they shall slowly fade away. Fade away. And anything we no clean and pure, we a cut them out. Cut them off early. Smile them a joke, can't hide them deceitful heart. Know them thoughts dirty. From them no clean and pure, we a cut them off. Chop them off early. Smile up in your face, so big disgrace. We know them are dirty. See my friends turn enemy.
No one near them,
I a stay far. No link, no bar, no link, no bar.
When your friends turn the enemy a bad son.
Me say no link, no.
Dirty heart can wash with soap. There's no bad mind antidote. Lyrics for sale, lyrics for sale, lyrics for sale. Folks, we have had a good day. We have had a good day. Thanks to your attendance. I just told that the games are in Grenada. That can be the Kirani James Stadium. I know the stadium is just next to the cricket ground. John just nearby, right? Just walk over from one to the other. So I know that place, that area very well. Grenada Kirani James Stadium, I suspect that is where it is being kept. We have had a good day. Again, as you fly your kites, as you go out on your picnic, I urge you to be safe. Be safe. You got to always urge people in this place to be safe because Ghana is a dangerous, dangerous place. Folks, God's Spare Life will come again on Wednesday at the usual time. I have to seek to sort out this little problem you're getting now with starting the link so that when we come on Wednesday, we should not encounter that problem. Because we had it on Friday, we had it again this morning. So I'm going to endeavor to see what can be done to resolve that. And as I've been doing in recent weeks, I will bring Mr. Otis Redding to give us the vote of thanks. Yeah, I want to thank you. Otis said, I want to thank you for your attendance today. I want to thank you for your continued support. And as I've said, Gospel Life, we come again on Wednesday for another episode of Speaking Out, exposing corruption and incompetence. Until then, again, I plead with you to stay well. Stay well. You know, I'm saying this lightly. I'm not saying this lightly at all. Hold on, somebody coming in there to interrupt the broadcast. Right, so I'm not saying this lightly. Stay well. Hold on. Somebody persisting. And yeah, come on, man. Who is this? Y'all bear with me. I'm trying to end the program and somebody interrupting me at this time. Let me try to cut you off. Yeah, let me as I've said, stay well until we meet again. Come on, man. Who is this? Until we meet. Let me now play the outro, and then we are going to get out of here. Hold on. I'm getting problems finding the tune to see us out. I don't know if it was deleted in error, but one moment. Let me look to find it. I can't find it, so I suspect it might have been deleted by error because I played it this morning. So I'm going to just go back to the old tune, and here we go.
Exposing the things in the system. We need a better Guyana for the little boys and the children poor. Slow and Clinton Conway.
All the money they invest, 2.2 billion.
Hear me when I sing. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh.
And they would have gotten
Guyanese at home and abroad. Please log into Conway as wide as it can reach. Paul Slow, you always will preach. Oh, yeah, yeah. Like and share, subscribe. Hit the notification bell so this message could reach as far